Welcome back to Retro Rebound. Today, we get into PlayStation's greatest mascot of all time, gaming's favorite raccoon. One so popular, he's branded across my very chest. Yes, you know these icons quite well. We're talking about Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper is easily my favorite PlayStation franchise of all time. It is one of my favorite game series ever made, and Sly 2 being a top 5 game of all time for me. With rumors running amok of Sly coming back to PlayStation 5, and also some insiders claiming it could be announced at the end of this year, I thought now is a great time to remind everyone of the greatness known as Sly Cooper. And hey, if those rumors end up being false, we still got a good chance to talk about our favorite PlayStation mascot. Because certainly there's no other answer, right? What do you like? You like Ratchet? You like Jack? Okay. No, you can like whatever you want. I'm kidding. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome one, welcome all. If you're new here and you like retro content, nostalgic content, throwback content, whatever you want to call it, consider subscribing. Now, let's talk about Sly Cooper. Oh my gosh. So before I even get into the game, I have all of the complete in-box copies here. Don't worry. We're getting into all of them because I collected them all because I'm a freak, even though I had the HD collection. That's not enough for me. Anyway, I can't talk about the game yet. I gotta show you what I think is one of the greatest complete in-box copies of all time. But first, the back of the box, where it says, "There's a new thief in town! Spotlights, alarms, and infrared lasers, rooftop chases, narrow escapes, and dodging security guards, grabbing priceless jewels and emptying casinos. It's like taking candy from a baby. Sly Cooper, the notorious international thief, is out to reclaim what is rightfully his. Prepared to infiltrate the most secure places in the world. He's one cunning, devious, Thievius Raccoonus." What a crazy idea, right? Let's take a raccoon, a turtle, and a hippo and make them this ultimate heist team and have them pull off some of the greatest scores of all time. Okay, like I said, amazing complete in-box copy here. Get ready. It's because of this manual. So every single manual across the entire trilogy comes with this, the Thievius Raccoonus. Such an important part of the actual in-game lore. But they took it so seriously that if you actually page through this, of course they have descriptions of things like Sly's life, the keys you'll find, Bentley's signal repeaters, which are the respawn points. Yeah, all of that is important, but then they'll give you backgrounds on all of the different people you're going to be hunting down to take back what was yours in Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. And it goes even deeper than that, where you can actually see like some of the animation skeletons that they were using in the design of the game, which are technically notes for the Thievius Raccoonus, a book that's been passed down in Sly Cooper's lineage for decades and decades and decades, generations upon generations, learning from this book. And they even have like little dialogue here, like, "I know, Bentley, it's better to be safe than sorry, but don't jump out of your shell just yet. We're getting started." And it's this mission strategy on starting a new game. I don't know. It's just so loaded with personality. It also came with this, a PlayStation Underground copy here, which that's actually really cool to see. And if we crack that open, we'll see here, this again was one of the ways that they collected marketing data for these old games. We see this a lot in the Lucasfilm games, and PlayStation had a thing called Underground. So that's what you get complete in box with the Thievius Raccoonus. So this game I know isn't remembered that fondly because the second one is really where things took off. In this game, if you didn't have the lucky horseshoe on your back, you'd get one hit. But I really like this game because let's start off with the story. Sly Cooper as a series has some of the most underrated writing of all time, I think. Because the idea here is that you're this Thievius Raccoonus who got put in an orphanage because his family was murdered by the Fiendish Five, right? So he got put in there. That's where he met Bentley, Murray, like where there is darkness, there is also light. So there's a little bit of emotions there. He meets his best friends for life. They become these troublemakers where they started off small, right? Stealing cookies. And then it goes into things like stealing a part of Clockwork in Sly 2, right? So you see how things progress here, and I adore that. But this story is, for all intents and purposes, I think pretty good because it's about Sly finding out why Clockwork led the demise of the Cooper clan. And now Sly Cooper is the last one standing. The reason this is so important is I appreciate it more after Sly Thieves in Time. We'll get into that later because that game, it got slandered. But Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus was the beginning of it all, right? The 3D platforming. There was a little bit of on rails feeling, right? As the camera followed you closely and guided you down one way. It wasn't the open 3D exploration we saw in Sly 2 Band of Thieves. But still, this was the start of it all. As you crawled through levels, you found the mystery clue bottles, and you'd use those clue bottles to then unlock all the different safes around the level and get new powers, new abilities that Sly could use. Some really good stuff there. So overall, Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, while many don't remember it fondly outside of nostalgia, this is a game that I think very highly of because it started it all. Let's get into the one that I think defined the series for years to come. Sly 2, Band of Thieves. Oh, I could cry. I love this game so much. The amount of times I played it, I got the Platinum Trophy on my Vita, Platinum Trophy on my PS3. I hope they bring it to PS4 and 5 one day where we can get the Platinum on that. I love this game so much. Let's read the back. Sly and the gang are back. Indeed, they are, and they're ready to pull off the biggest job of their lives yet. Journey around the world and beat the Claw Gang at their own game. You have the Murray, you have Bentley, the brains, and you have Sly, the crafty, cool, and clever master of all thieves. Very simple, very to the point. Again, as always, you can see here, Thievius Raccoonus on the left. Let's see what's in this one. Plus, this right here, get ready for this one. This is awesome in my opinion, right? So they have a map of all of the worlds that were in Sly 2 Band of Thieves, as you can see right here, right? And on the back side, you have Murray, the brawn, Sly Cooper, the master thief, Bentley, the brains. You can see all their silhouettes here. It's almost like a movie poster, but for Sly Cooper. And funny enough, there was actually a Sly Cooper movie that was in production, and it's just kind of gone now. But anyway, that came in this complete in-box copy, which is really cool to see. And then, again, the Thievius Raccoonus, right? So here again is the postcard that you'd send to PlayStation for marketing data. I love how they have the little Sly Cooper logo on the top here. Again, just a really artistically driven manual. Like, this is what you dream of, right? Look at that. Look at the colors. Look at that. From the desk of Bentley. That's how you capture your in-game world in a manual. And the way these snapshots are kind of pinned up on the wall, like you're in like a conspiracy boardroom or something like that. I love it. It's a little bit thinner compared to what we saw in something like Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, but that's because, as you can see here, like the text is absurdly small, but they have character profiles for Constable Neela, Inspector Carmelita Fox, just really important cornerstones to this franchise. So, why do I love this game so much? Let's start off with going back to Sly 1. In Sly 1, you only played as Sly. You would interact with the other characters in ways like, for example, when you were helping out Murray in one of his races, you'd be sitting there from a distance shooting sleep darts at people to help him out so he didn't get beat up as he transported objects. That was in one of the first opening levels. You'd have moments like that. But in Sly 2, it's like, what if you could just play as these guys, right? And they had different play styles. We knew Sly would be slick, cool, doing his ninja spires, but Murray being a beat-em-up. And then you have Bentley being the weakest, but very crafty. And so each of them had their own play styles, and you could play as them during missions. So there was an insane amount of variety for this game that I think was well ahead of its time, and I've only appreciated more with age. And it makes it feel like everyone's in on the heist, not like Bentley and Murray are riding the coattails of Sly Cooper. It's much more than that. So this game picks up after you defeat Clockwork in Sly 1. It's like, okay, job well done, right? Wrong. Now there's a natural continuation because these new villains, the Claw Gang, have found the new parts of Clockwork and they're using him for all different crimes, right? Like, for example, my favorite one is Dimitri using the, I think it was the claws or the wings of Clockwork as a printing press for money. And it's just such genius usage of what's in its own game world, right? It's even though it's so weird and fantastical, it's a world of animals doing all these crimes, which you never really think about because it's so grounded in a way of speaking. And I don't know how else to describe it than that. This story, though, gets hella emotional. Like, let's fast forward. I got to spoil it. Let's move to the end. Bentley, he unfortunately gets injured in the line of fire, and Murray blames it on himself. and walks away and leaves the crew. And you don't learn until Sly 3, as you can see here, that now Bentley is unfortunately in a wheelchair. Like, their biggest heist yet was their biggest loss in Sly 2. So it's a game of, again, capturing the true emotion of Sly Cooper. Like, it is actually a well-written series, and people don't give it enough credit for that. Like, yeah, the gameplay's fun because Sly 2 also reinvented the wheel. These 3D open level spaces, you're going around stealing things, you're pickpocketing people, you know, a trick of 3, right? Like 1, 2, 3 of coins, and then all of a sudden out comes a gem, a key, something that you can sell in the thief net, and the thief net holds all of your upgrades. Like, it was such a beautiful framework for the future that honestly, even in future iterations, they didn't change it much. Like, everything was based off of Sly 2 for this series. If there was no Sly 2, I don't think Sly 3 would have been as good. Sly 4 would have been as good. But shout out to Sly 2. Amazing story. Let's talk about the characters. This is where you started to see the love interest with Sly and Carmelita Fox start to develop a little bit. Like that mission where you're in India and you're going on that dance with her and there's the cool dancing mini game, right? And you're seeing Sly kind of warm up to her a little bit and she's warming up to him without even knowing it. That's the kind of stuff that builds characters, builds relationships, and it's done so well here. So I know it's a game about gameplay, but its story is really charming to me. So that's Sly 2. I could really go on for hours about that game, but let's move on to Sly 3, Honor Among Thieves. So the back reads, the thieving gang returns for its greatest heist ever. Your favorite characters return from Sly 2 Band of Thieves, as well as the new playable specialists like Carmelita Fox and the Guru. Experience all the action in 3D. Sly's world comes to life in enclosed 3D glasses. And a new multiplayer mode, steal through split screen in head-to-head and co-op missions, which I actually never messed around with those. So unfortunately on the inside, we do not have, oh wait, we do, oh my God, we do. I didn't know this. Oh, we do have the 3D glasses. Oh my God, I didn't know this. Oh, that's so cool. These are not thrilling at all. In fact, this is like the bane of people's existence from the early 2000s. But the fact that they're here, oh, so cool. So as you can see, this is how you would assemble it right here. You just take these two pieces out and insert them on each side of the temple, and it's structured like the Sly Cooper thieving mask. Oh, that's so cool. Anyway, let's go through the rest of the Thievius Raccoonus again. Same thing here. What a great complete in-box copy there. Just tucked away in there, never used. Small text again. It's getting a little thin on details. Not as colorful, but hey, they were printing out those 3D glasses. And again, I will never be upset with this manual because of the stylized front and back covers. Just making it based off an important object in the game's world makes so much sense. It's disgusting. Okay, so Sly 3, Honor Among Thieves, is a game that I'm not as crazy about compared to others. And it's because it felt like really Sly 2.5 rather than Sly 3. When you look at the leap from Sly 1 to Sly 2, I felt like you could really feel that. When you look at Sly 3 after Sly 2, it felt like more Sly 2, which is amazing, mind you. Still loved the game. But it didn't light my world on fire. The new playable characters like Carmelita Fox and Guru were awesome to see because it's like, yes, nice. Like Carmelita's here, a part of the team now. The first level's in Italy. This is all good stuff. But it's not until I think Sly 4 that the ideas really captures a true step forward. So Sly 3 was more of Sly 2. And in a manner of speaking, I kind of thought the story was a little forced here. Sly 2 was a natural continuation, right? Like righting the wrong of Clockwork. And there didn't feel like there was much room to go. But then with Sly 3, it's like, oh, well, we actually have the Cooper family vault, and we got to break into that now. And it starts at the end, which is a pet peeve of mine. I hate when games show the ending at the beginning. It's like, I want to work towards something. Let me have that reward, please. So they do that, which, again, personal pet peeve, nothing wrong with liking it. But then they don't give that natural build-up, right? However, the trade-off is you get some really cool open levels, like the Pirate's Bay, where you have to dress up as a pirate and you start to do smack talking with, I think, like Pete is his name. Oh, one of the best parts of the game, right? Just that smack talking mini game. I made a whole skit about it over on Mr. Matty Plays, and it was just so much fun to recreate because there's just so much charm and personality in it. Again, the writing here is the real spotlight. This is also where you start to see Penelope's relationship with Bentley really set in as Bentley struggling with some jealousy of Sly, right? Because he kind of partially blames Sly for what happened at the end of Sly 2, right? Where he's now in a wheelchair. He's like, man, life would be better if I wasn't like this. And Penelope would probably like me more because Penelope was really into Sly. Like she thought Sly was so cool. She was a big fangirl of Sly. And Bentley's a little bit jealous. Fortunately, it ends well for them, right? They get together. But there is something there. And again, a lot of this plays off of the ending of 2, where Murray starts off the game as a student of the guru who's trying to find himself, find his inner peace, and not jeopardize that. And you're trying to convince him, like, hey, come on, join us. We got to do this again together. Like, we're family. Come join us, Murray. And you got to break him out of the guru's teachings and then recruit the guru. So it's a pretty interesting change there, again, because Murray blamed himself. He's like, I did this to Bentley. So it's a game about, like, overcoming that blame that you give yourself when something bad happens to someone you love. So there's a lot of brotherly love in this game, and I do like it for that. But overall, more Sly, less problems, but not my favorite, for sure. And then we have the collection here. So before I get into Sly 4, you can play this game in high definition, trophy support, and all that stuff on the PS3, on the Vita. PS3 complete in box copy is kind of pricey now, unfortunately. The reason for that is because the PS3 store went off, then on. Right now is a good time to get it. I did mention this in my why I'm buying games on PS3 in 2021 video. The reason I'm doing that is because the store will eventually turn back off. So right now prices are a little bit low, but I kid you not, get it now because these collection prices will go up. Anyway, this one, you know, this was the early 2010s. So, yep, black and white. Not as inspired, not as colorful. They don't even have the Thievius Raccoonus on the front. It's just the cover again. And then on the back, they're like, look at these more PlayStation Move titles. How dare you, PlayStation? How dare you? And then the back is just that the Sly Cooper gang returns. Notice that they say that a lot, right? The gang is back. The gang returns. They're always back. They're always returning, right? And so they do it again here with 3 classic games in high definition. So you can play all of these, get platinum trophies for all of these like your boy did right here. If you want to do it on the PS3, you can also do it on the Vita. The Vita copy comes with the cartridge, and then just know that it's 1 and 2 on the cartridge. And if you do want to play Sly 3, if that's your favorite on the Vita, it is a downloadable slip that you would have to punch in the code. And unfortunately for all of you, it is only valid to a certain point in time, so you better hope that you can get it while it's on the PSN store. I have it attached to my account already, so I can download it whenever, but this is something you may want to leap on if you're thinking about it. But anyway, no real modern options to access it outside of PlayStation Now, which, let's not kid ourselves, streaming games to our PlayStation is not the wave. So let's move on to the last Sly game. Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time. So this is where Sucker Punch, the developers of the Sly Cooper franchise, said, we're done, we're out. And Sanzaru Games steps in, who nowadays is a developer for Oculus doing VR games. So they make Sly Cooper Thieves in Time. This is Sly 4, despite it not saying Sly 4. And the back says, again, Sly and the gang are back in an epic new adventure. The pages of the Thievius Raccoonus are disappearing, and now Sly and the gang must get back together to save the Cooper gang legacy from being destroyed forever. Travel through time, meeting and playing as Sly's ancestors as you race to discover the past to save their future. Play on the go and in cross-save between your PS3 and PS Vita systems, and take part in epic boss battles, sneak and solve puzzles through time. So yes, this was a cross-buy game, as you can see here on the front, that if you bought this copy of the game, it would indeed come with your PS Vita version. No manual. It ends here, ladies and gentlemen. It ends here with all the controls on the inside of the... Has anyone ever realistically said, I'm going to pop out the disc here. Hold on, let's do this if I'm able to. Hold on, my hands are freaking out here. And said like, oh, that's how you control Murray there with the L2 button. Okay. Yeah, let me just put that back in there. All right, thank God I know now. No. Give us our manuals back. But anyway, Sly Thieves in Time. Forever slandered. And I don't know why. This game... hear me now, hear me clearly, is very good. This is, in my opinion, Sly 3. On a narrative level, it makes sense. On a gameplay level, of course it's hopping generations. It is a true evolution. This is, to me, what Sly 3 should have been. It makes sense. It goes back to the Thievius Raccoonus. The pages are disappearing now, and they're going through time. You know what's funny? You go back to Sly 1, they talk a lot about certain members of the Cooper family. Why is that important? Because those very members mentioned here, Tennessee Kid Cooper, Sir Raleigh Cooper, all of them are playable in this game here. That is exactly what we were looking for, in my opinion. Like, respect the lore, building off of it, where 3 story to me felt like more of just a, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, we could do that. Versus this one, which I feel actually adds to the world. Now, I can't toot its horn too hard because it does end on a huge cliffhanger where Sly is sent to another period in time, abandoned in what looks like Egypt, and everyone else has no idea where Sly is. And we never know what happened to Sly. So if Sly comes back, will it come back in a way where, you know, maybe it's 5? I don't think so. I think they'll just remake the first one. But as I mentioned, story praise aside, the gameplay is king here, right? It's still that same Sly 2 formula. Explore the world, steal things, bring them back to the thief net. But now the hideout's been expanded. You've got mini games in there. You can play the Bentley hacking arcade game, get some trophies in there. You can do the Murray strength training game. You can replay certain missions from there. And then there's the addition of stealing, right? Where you're collecting masks, you're collecting clue bottles, you're collecting everything. Like, it evolves everything that Sly 2 did in meaningful ways. Now, I know the biggest complaint with Sly Thieves in Time is undoubtedly, without a shadow of a doubt, what happened to Penelope and Bentley. So again, we're getting into spoiler territory. These are all retrospectives, we got to. Penelope betrays Sly and the gang. She disappears, and you find out in the chapter where they go to the medieval point in time that Penelope doesn't like Sly anymore, betrays the team, and people find her reasoning to kind of be misguided. I think because she's trying to help Bentley, because she cares about him, that it makes sense. I think that there is genuine reasoning behind her move, albeit, yeah, is it a little ham-fisted? Sure, I'll give you that. But I think that her betrayal makes sense, and it only empowers Bentley to go on his own and become more confident, because he was very dependent on Penelope for being a confident guy, for having a bravado about him. And he's thinking about her, and he realizes, man, she ain't worth it. She ain't worth it. She's not who I thought she was. So I think it's a natural part of their love story. But overall, the gameplay, the variety of Coopers you can play as per time period gave each level their own flavor. And I think this game deserved way better than what it got. It reviewed solidly, but there are fans that over the years have just been very against my Coopers. So those are all of the Sly Cooper games. We got Sly 1, 2, 3. We have them on HD collections, and then we have Sly Thieves in Time. If you have not played them, oh my gosh, well, I guess I kind of spoiled them for you, but they are worth it. Do yourself the favor, play the best PlayStation mascot of all time. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, take great care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.